Welcome, welcome, welcome. I would like to welcome you to another episode of the Unpopular Podcast. This is the man, the myth, the legend, Jalen Hunter. And if you do me a favor, please subscribe to wherever you're listening. Please subscribe to wherever you're watching. It definitely would mean a lot to me. But here's where we'll start. Okay. So I had to process it for a couple of days. For people that don't know what I'm talking about, Carson Wentz was traded to Washington, the now Washington Commanders. Carson Wentz was traded to the Commanders for like 3 picks, 2 like second rounds and 1/3, I think. I'm on record here saying if Carson Wentz is your quarterback, you're not a Super Bowl caliber team. I mean, you can go back in the archives and check. I said this. This is what I said. You know, when I first heard the news, man, or when I first came across the ticker, the breaking news ticker, I was like, "What? Carson Wentz? Aha! Carson Wentz." Oh, but after a couple days, stepping away from the situation, having to think it over, and this, that, and the third. Let me be honest. Let's have an honest conversation about this Carson Wentz trade for Washington. One thing that I do like is that the reports came out that Washington didn't go straight for Carson Wentz. I do appreciate that. Like, they made a big swing at Aaron Rodgers. They made a big swing at Patrick Mahomes. They made a big swing at Russell Wilson, who, of course, was available. But, of course, none of those matriculated. So the next best thing was Carson Wentz. Now, in a nutshell, man, nobody really wants Carson Wentz on their team. As far as to try to compete for a championship or a Super Bowl, Carson Wentz is not the guy to get it done. I've said this multiple times on this platform. But when you look at the landscape of the free agent market, Carson Wentz was the best quarterback available at the time. I mean, again, Aaron Rodgers decided to go back to Green Bay, which everyone knew that was pretty much going to happen. Russell Wilson, blockbuster trade we talked about last episode, gets traded to Denver. So the next best thing was Carson Wentz. I would pick Carson Wentz over Jimmy Garoppolo. I definitely pick Carson Wentz over Mitch Trubisky, over Jameis Winston, over Marcus Mariota. I mean, we don't know Malik Wills is going to be. Kenny Pickett. I would choose Carson Wentz over them. Now, this is Carson Wentz, man. You know how I talked about Jimmy G, and I said that Jimmy G, as much good as you're going to get, you're also going to get like the same amount of bad, right? This is Carson Wentz in a nutshell. Carson Wentz, when he is good, he is good. Like, when Carson Wentz is good, I mean, I know it was a while ago, but he was a front runner. He was a leading MVP candidate before he got injured the year that the Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl. Carson Wentz, I mean, we saw a couple flashes last year when he was with the Colts, especially against the Ravens, even though the Ravens did come back and win. Carson Wentz threw for like 400 yards, I think, like that. When Carson Wentz is good, he is good. Like, Carson Wentz is a really good quarterback when he is good. But boy, when Carson Wentz is bad, it's not even, oh man. When Carson Wentz is bad, he's worse than god awful. He's damn near unwatchable. I understand the mentality of, play every play like it's your last, right? But Carson Wentz takes that to the extreme, like the extreme. But yeah, when Carson Wentz is, and I think, and that's one of the biggest reasons why he didn't work in Indianapolis. He's so, it's night and day, black and white when we talk about Carson Wentz. Either he is really good, or he's Carson Wentz, when he is bad, he's so bad, he may not be good enough to make a college football team. That's how bad Carson. I mean, we've seen clips of him in the end zone just flicking the ball, trying to save a play and throwing it right to the defender for a pick six. We've seen that multiple times last year. But at the end of the day, Washington got the best available quarterback. Do I think he's better than Taylor Heineke? Yes. Do I think that he's better than Jimmy G? Yes. Do I think that he's better than a lot of available quarterbacks at this time? Yes. But I do also think, and I'm not going to back down on this, if Carson Wentz is your quarterback, you're not a Super Bowl caliber team. Look, you know how, Frank Wright, I have to stop. People have to, because I hear this a lot now. People have to stop bringing up the Eagles days with Carson Wentz. That Carson Wentz is not here anymore. In fact, that Carson Wentz, I don't know if it's a mental thing. I don't know what it is, but he's just, Frank Wright had to apologize to the ownership or the GM of the Indianapolis Colts because he put his neck out on the line for Carson Wentz. And it didn't work out. And the same thing, a lot of things that plagued Carson Wentz the end of his Philly tenure is the same thing that you saw his 1 year in Indy. He's hard to he doesn't really take tough criticism very well. He doesn't take tough coaching very well. His leadership in the locker room is a question. Carson Wentz, he's I don't know how you describe it. Because can you say that he's a good player if he's so inconsistent and so drastically inconsistent like he is? Like think about for people in Washington, right? And again, I'm not happy that Washington has Carson Wentz. I'm not mad that Washington has Carson Wentz. I am a realist of the situation. Let's compare Indianapolis to Washington for a second. Indianapolis had one of the best offensive lines. Indianapolis had one of the best, if not the best, running back last year because Derrick Henry was out. They have a solid number one in Michael Pittman. Their defense is incredible with DeForest Buckner, with Darius Leonard. Their coach, Frank Wright, a really good coach. In fact, one of the biggest reasons why they wanted Carson Wentz is because Carson Wentz saw the most success that he saw in the league with Frank Reich as his coach. Now compare that to and Frank Reich is an offensive-minded coach. Meaning, usually when a quarterback has an offensive-minded coach, they usually get the best out of them because they have a mindset. They have an offensive mindset. Like you look at Sean McVay, you look at Kyle Shanahan. They have some of the best play designs because they're offensive-minded coaches. So Carson Wentz had all that in Indianapolis, and still couldn't win 2 games to make it to the playoffs. And 2 games against people they lost to the Jaguars badly too. That was the straw that broke the camel's back for Carson Wentz and Indy. They brought Carson Wentz to Indianapolis to get them over the hump. They have Indianapolis, and I hear people in the comment section usually say, well, you can say that for any team. No, you can't. If you put Russell Wilson on the Jaguars right now, they're not a championship team. If you put Aaron Rodgers on the Jaguars right now, they're not a championship team. But if you put Aaron Rodgers on the Indianapolis Colts, I think they're a championship team. You put Russell Wilson on the Indianapolis Colts, I think they're a championship team. Indianapolis thought that you bring in Indianapolis and Frank Reich thought you bring in Carson Wentz. Yes, the tape that he has on the recent tape was not there, but you feel that you can get the best out of him because you got the best out of him when he was playing with you or when he was playing for you as a coach or a coordinator. They were confident in letting Phillip Rivers walk. And, of course, Phillip Rivers was old. Phillip Rivers was not in his heyday or was not in his prime. But they were confident in letting Phillip Rivers walk because they knew that they have something special in Indianapolis. And all they need is the quarterback. So when you bring on Carson Wentz, the straw that broke the camel's back is you needed 2 games to make it. You got further with Phillip Rivers than you did with Carson Wentz. And the team that Carson Wentz had was pretty much a better team than the one that Phillip Rivers had. And it's hard being an owner, being a GM, being a head coach, where when you don't know what you're getting out of your franchise $30 million quarterback that now Washington pick up, and I think they're responsible for the whole $28 million. But that's hard when you don't know what you're going to get, or it can be over with any play. Now, yes, I understand the NFL is a physical sport, so it can automatically be over with in any play. But Carson Wentz is a reckless player. He's been like that since college, but he's a reckless player. I mean, he had two sprained ankles against the Rams. You only get 2 ankles, and he sprained both of them and still tried to go out there and play. But they needed 2 wins. They needed 1 win in 2 games and couldn't get neither. And a lot of it was because of Carson Wentz. In fact, teams started loading up the box, so Jonathan Taylor was not able to run, and they made Carson Wentz beat them, and Carson Wentz could not. So it sounds like, no, I'm being honest about Carson Wentz. So that's what Washington's getting, and that was Indianapolis. Washington does not have the best offensive line. They do have, I would say, they have a better receiving core. Terry McLaurin, in my opinion, is better than Michael Pittman. See what we can get from Curtis Samuel, Logan Thomas. Defensively, I think when they're right and when they're healthy, Washington could have a better defense. Now they did just cut Landon Collins. Yeah. But you still have Payne. You still have Jonathan Allen. You still have Chase Young when he gets back from injury. However, you have a defensive-minded coach in Ron Rivera, and a defensive-minded coach that has seemed to be very rigid in his thinking, kind of like Pete Carroll. Do I think that Carson Wentz is a better pickup than Taylor Heineke? Yes. And I think that he was the best available pick. And I will say this. I think that Indianapolis made a mistake trading Carson Wentz right now. Not saying that they made a mistake trading him in general, but they don't have a quarterback. They don't have a backup plan. Now, you can try to go get Jimmy G, try to go get, like I said, Mariota, try to go get one of the freelance free agent quarterbacks, but Carson Wentz was the best available quarterback, and you had him. And now you don't really have a number 2. Like, you don't have a second option. And that's why I said I don't think that it was smart for them to trade him right now. Not to mention the fact that, yeah, Carson Wentz, like I said, it's like black and white, night and day with him. But you still only need one win out of 2 games. Now he wasn't able to deliver, but you still were borderline successful. But yeah, the era of Carson Wentz has begun for Washington. If you're Terry McLaurin, if I was a teammate and if I was a teammate of Carson Wentz, I don't know how I feel because he's had a reputation of being a bad leader in the locker room. He's had a reputation of not being able to be coached hard. And Ron Rivera, as we know, is synonymous for coaching hard. I don't know. Not to mention the whole unvaccinated thing, and then you have Ron Rivera, who has dealt with health issues. So I don't know. Carson Wentz is a Washington Commander, though, so we'll see how that goes. Also, another big headline that happened was Khalil Mack goes to the Chargers. When I tell you, the AFC West has drastically improved in the last few days is an understatement. One of the biggest needs that the Chargers had was the defensive line, or was defense. Let's say that. And now you're pairing him with Joey Bosa, which now you can't really double Joey Bosa because you have Khalil Mack on the other side. Now, no Khalil. I can't say Khalil Mack is not what he was because he was under. He is coming off injury and he was playing for Chicago. I haven't seen the best out of anybody in Chicago in a while. So I don't know if he is what he was, but I do know that Khalil Mack makes the Chargers drastically better. Like, it's going to be a gauntlet, man. Now, I do think that, no, you have Rashawn Slater and you brought back Mike Williams. Like, it's going to be the AFC West is by far. Now, I know that the NFC West, still has the Super Bowl champions in the Rams and the Cardinals. But I think that the AFC West is leaps and bounds the best conference now. Division now. Like I said, you have Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. You have Justin Herbert and the Chargers. You have Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos, and you have Derek Carr and the Raiders. It's Khalil Mack opens so much up, not just for the Chargers defense, but for their offense. So now you don't the defense is not a liability anymore. Now, of course, you still want to bolster the secondary, but the defense is not like you. The problem was they didn't have anybody that can get to the quarterback outside of Joey Bosa, and Joey Bosa was hurt. I think that he had 6 sacks in 7 games. And what you're starting to see, which you're not starting to see it, you're seeing it, but and it's been like this for a while, is teams, the smart teams capitalize when their quarterback is in their rookie contract. Especially if the quarterback is good. If the quarterback is good and they're in their rookie contract, this is the time, because it's going to be very tough when they're look at some of the teams that have max players that have max money. I don't know how the hell Green Bay is going to get a second wide receiver option for Aaron Rodgers, seeing as how much money Aaron Rodgers makes and how much he alone is against the cap. When you look at when you look at what's his name? Because he's when you look how Russell Wilson was for Seattle, he was so much his money was so now yes, you had DK Metcalf that you got from the draft that you kind of got lucky with, and Tyler Lockett, but outside of that, they haven't been able to really address the offensive line, the defense. It's once your quarterbacks make so much money, once they're out of their rookie contract and they get that second contract, it really bounds you to what you can and cannot do. So that's why you see a lot of teams go for it big or try to swing big when their quarterback's on a rookie contract, like the Ravens with Lamar Jackson. That's why it's so big right now that people are saying that Lamar Jackson is about to try to get his try to get a extension. Joe Burrow, they're able to get some quality free agents because he's still on his rookie contract now. Justin Herbert and Khalil Mack. They wouldn't be able to afford Khalil Mack if Justin Herbert didn't make or made more money than he's making. So you're seeing a lot of, and you've seen it for a while now, but you're seeing a lot of teams go for it when their quarterback is on their rookie deal. And honestly, I honestly think that right now the Chargers are probably the second best team in the division. I mean, right now it's between the Chargers and Denver, of course, because of Russell Wilson. I do think Russell Wilson is better than Justin Herbert at this time, but I do think that the Chargers had a need, and their need was directly met, which was they needed another pass rusher. And you have one of the best when he's healthy. You have one of the best in Khalil Mack. And with the weapons that Justin Herbert has in the offense, and now the defense is starting to get shaped, and we still don't know if Don Staley or Joe Staley is a good coach or not, but especially when we talk about time management. But I just think, I think that it's hard for me to look at the Chargers. Now, I will say this: the Chargers have those. So the one of the biggest knocks on the Chargers, especially when Anthony Lynn was their head coach, is that the Chargers struggle late in games. They struggle holding leads. They just struggle late in games. They don't win the close games. A lot of people were blaming that on Anthony Lynn, which understandable. When you continue to lose these 3-point games, these 1-point games, usually you want to look at the coach because it's like, what's not happening, what's not clicking. However, the same thing was happening with Staley, and even worse, he was messing up with the clock. I mean, the most famous one, of course, was the game before the playoffs, the Chargers and the Raiders, and he called the famous timeout when they were trying to go for a tie, which then the Raiders had that big run and then was able to kick the field goal to win it in overtime. I think that this makes the Chargers, if Khalil Mack gets healthy and gets right, if he is healthy and right now, of course Joey Bosa, one of the best in the league. They're the second best team in my opinion. Now, I'm not going to put them over Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, even if the Chiefs do lose Tyrann Mathieu, which I do think is a huge loss if they lose him. But that's Khalil Mack, man. Khalil Mack, there was a time probably 2-3 years ago when Khalil Mack was undoubtedly the second best defender or defensive player in the league. Now you can still kind of put him in the top 5, but it was Aaron Donald and Khalil Mack. That's how it was. So the Chargers are going big, and they're trying to swing for the fences now when they can, because Justin Herbert is still on his rookie contract, so they can manipulate the money a little bit better until he makes his big, until they try to do the extension or get him a new deal or something. But I do think that this Khalil Mack thing is huge. Like the Chargers were always known, well, since Justin Herbert emerged, known as a one-sided team. Like they were great offensively, but defensively they were very sketchy. Now, when you get a player like Khalil Mack, it kind of, I'm not gonna say evens it out because the offense is still the offense, but that's a tough kid. So let's talk about reputation real quick. Let's move to a little bit of basketball. Let's talk about reputation. Your reputation follows you and your reputation can change. I mean, it's really a lot of people's reputation it comes from past experiences. So the Nets played the Philadelphia 76ers, which was one of the most hyped up games after the James Harden trade that sent Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, and Andre Drummond to Brooklyn. And of course, the 76ers got James Harden. Since then, they were 5-0. James Harden looked great, along with Joel Embiid. People were saying that it's the next Kobe and Shaq. Yeah. But James Harden has a reputation. And this is why I'm talking about reputation. James Harden has a reputation, and it's not a good one. James Harden is one of the best offensive players the NBA has ever seen. It is a small list of players. Well, he is in a small list of players of greatest something. James Harden is arguably one of the greatest offensive weapons the league has ever seen. That's like a Curry or a Michael Jordan or Kevin Durant or a Kobe. James Harden, his ability to create a shot, his ability to create fouls belongs on that list. Not saying that he's better than all of them, but he belongs on that greatness list. But that doesn't mean that his reputation doesn't not follow him. And because I feel like I'm beating around the bush at this point. What do I mean by that? James Harden's reputation is, while he is arguably one of the greatest offensive weapons in the league and the league has ever seen, his reputation is he comes up small in big games. Whether that's playoff games, we remember when they, was it 2017, when they should have beat Golden State. Chris Paul went out, but even with Chris Paul going out, James Harden kind of shrunk. Or was it 2016 when they lost? They got beat by 30 points to the Spurs, I believe. And the Spurs didn't have Kawhi Leonard or Tony Parker playing. A lot of people want to bag on Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant for their collapse, in 2012 in the NBA Finals. But a lot of that was James Harden. Now, I'm not all blaming James Harden, but a lot of it was James Harden. And then we go to the game on Thursday night. Now, yes, it's a regular season game, but this is a big game. You're going against one of the top, or arguably one of the top teams in the league in Brooklyn. Definitely some of the top players, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, former players. You're going, the hype is there. There's a reason why this game was on TNT, one of the marquee games. And you come up, I think he had 11 points. Now he did finish, he's now third all time in 3-pointers made, passing Reggie Miller. So congratulations to that. But I think he went 3 for 15. 11 points because his 3 made field goals were threes. And then, of course, he had a foul. But yet again, in another situation, he shrunk. The only way that you can change your reputation is if you change it. Is if you do something different, if you start developing a pattern of something different. But that's the only way that you can change your reputation. James Harden probably don't care. It is what it is. I know he ain't listened to this, but I'm not just making this up. You can go back almost every time they've lost. I mean, what was it? 2018, I believe. I think that's the year that Toronto won. Kevin Durant went out. And you have Golden. That's your time that's your time to beat Golden State. Kevin Durant went out, and you can't do it. Oh, I think they were up too, and they just need to beat them twice, and they've lost both times. And I think Game 7 was on their home floor or something like that. All I'm saying, man, is James Harden has developed a reputation of shrinking in small games. While, yes, he's still considered one of the greatest offensive players that the league has ever seen, he also has a reputation of shrinking in small games. And Thursday's game against against the Sixers, against the Nets, is another prime example. Now, yes, it's a regular season game, but he has shown a record of doing this in the playoffs as well, which is why a lot of people were saying when James Harden got traded to the Nets, it's nothing going to be the same. Like, he's played with great players. He's played with Kevin Durant. He's played with Russell Westbrook. He's played with Kyrie Irving. He played with Russell Westbrook twice. He played with Chris Paul. He's played with Dwight Howard, who was slightly out of his prime, still a very good player at the time. And still nothing. So James Harden's still going to be James Harden. James Harden's still great. Hell, next time you hear this, James Harden can go for 60 points because that's just who James Harden is. But until, I'm not going to say he wins the championship, but until he comes up big in a playoff moments, or in big moments in big games, he comes up big. Because let's be clear here. I don't like to put losses on one player unless like you have a moment where the player just does something stupid like the J.R. Smith thing. While a lot of people talk about J.R. Smith, where J.R. Smith was a big reason in that loss in the finals when Cleveland was playing Golden State, George Hill was also huge in that loss because George Hill missed the freaking free throw. Make your free throws. But I don't even remember what I was talking about. I don't remember that last point. Oh, yes. Thursday's loss was mainly on James Harden. The Philadelphia 76ers, the Nets beat the dog. I think they beat them like 29. They were up by 36 at one point. The Nets were, and they beat them by 29. But that loss is on James Harden. Because James Harden and Joel Embiid, of course, their two best players, have to set the tone. They have to set the tone because you have a young team and you have a team that follows you two. You have to set the tone. Joel Embiid was playing incredible. I mean, Kevin Durant and Joel Embiid were jawing back and forth. Andre Drummond, their bodies were getting thrown left and right with him and Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid came to play. Who, by the way, is a front-running MVP. Him and Jokic, in my opinion. I would choose Jokic, but yeah. But James Harden, I think when I looked up, it was quick too. When I looked up, he was like 1 for 10. I'm like, damn. Like, Jesus. I think this was like the first or second quarter too. So now Joel Embiid feels like he's doing it himself, which he pretty much is. Tobias Harris is actually having a good game, but outside of that, they need their second superstar, which is James Harden, and he didn't show up. So I do put that loss on him. But until James Harden does something different in big moments, he will have that reputation of somebody that's an uberly talented, incredible player, a top 50, NBA 75, top 75 player ever, and rightfully so, but shrinks in big moments, especially when his team needs him the most, and especially when all you need to do, like, a lot of these moments, you're up, you're playing against the Spurs, man. And their two best players, or two of their 4 best players at the time, are not playing. And Kawhi Leonard, who is their best player, and Tony Parker, and you lose that one. Yes, you lose Chris Paul, who is big, but you're up 3-2 against Golden State, meaning Golden State has to win 2 more games. You just have to win 1, and Game 7 is on your home floor. Yes, you lose Kevin. Yes, you lose James Harden. Yes, you lose Chris Paul, but you still have James. You're still James Harden, and you lose that. And then this is arguably the biggest game of the year because of the trade, and you crap the bed. So until James Harden shows up in big moments, yeah. And lastly, before we go, MLB is back. MLB is back. I think they canceled like 2 weeks of the season, which we knew. I didn't think that it wasn't coming. I mean, you can even look at the episode that I kind of dedicated to the lockout. I knew they were going to come back sometime, but they're back. And, there's let me see. Hold on. There's a couple of rule changes now. There's a couple of rule changes. And I think these rule changes are going to help the game. Like 12-team expand playoffs. There's a lot of teams that you can look midway, almost damn near halfway through the season, they're out the playoff contention. So it's like, what's the point of even looking? Like I remember one year, like the Nationals were out like the third month of the year or third month of the season. I'm like, what's the point of this? Universal DH was these are rule changes that the players and the fans have been wanting. 9-game innings and double headers. The games be long as hell, bro. The games be long as hell, and so you don't have those marathon double headers and no runners on base to start extra innings. That's kind of an advantage for the team that starts. So MLB's back. They did not want to go past Jackie Robinson Day. That's like huge, of course, for baseball, rightfully so with Jackie Robinson. That's like, if there's a lockout, you look at lockouts, NFL, basketball, there's always a date that they do not want to go past. Like the NBA. The NBA does not, if they go past Christmas, more than likely there's no season. Christmas is their marquee game. Christmas is the game where everyone's at home, either opening presents, eating with family, and you're watching basketball. So that's why when you look at the NBA lockouts, Christmas is usually their deadline. They'll cancel games until Christmas. NFL, Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is Thanksgiving is their marquee game. Everyone's at home with family eating dinner, and there's usually football on the TV. So if there's a lockout and they'll cancel games, Thanksgiving is pretty much there. Like, whoa, like, let's not go past Thanksgiving. For MLB, it's Jackie Robinson Day. Jackie Robinson Day is huge. We know the pillar or the courageous acts that Jackie Robinson did for the sport of baseball. So Jackie Robinson Day is their like big thing. So they definitely were not going to. Yeah, you canceled the first 2 weeks, but nah, we getting to Jackie Robinson Day. And congratulations and shouts out to MLB. MLB has been taking a lot of hits, and rightfully so, especially when we talk about the owners. This didn't have to happen. This did not have to happen at all, because what the players were asking for is not that unreasonable. It was just the owners were trying to be stingy with the money, but it is what it is. Congratulations to the MLB and the Players Association for getting a deal done. And while the first 2 weeks of the season is canceled, we do have baseball. So shouts out to the MLB. And there you have it, man. That's been today's episode of the Unpopular Podcast. I appreciate you guys. If you want an Unpopular Podcast shirt, hoodie, sweater, long sleeve, joggers, the link is in the description below. I have multiple different colors, multiple different designs. Whatever you're feeling that day, I got you. Whatever color you're feeling that day, I got you. Whatever design you like, just click on the link below and you can see the designs. Guess what? I got you. Also, please subscribe to whoever you're listening. Please subscribe to whoever you're watching. I'm trying to get more people to experience the Unpopular Podcast, and I can't do that without you guys' help. If you don't mind sharing, if you don't mind leaving a comment, if you don't mind liking or disliking the video, however you feel, if you don't mind leaving a rating on any DSPs that you're listening to, it definitely means a lot to me. Again, I'm trying to get the algorithms going on the Unpopular Podcast, and I can't do that on my own, so I need you guys' help. And I do appreciate all the support that I've gotten so far. And I do appreciate all the support that I will be getting in the future. So if you don't mind, again, sharing, commenting, liking, rating, wherever you listen, wherever you watch, it definitely means a lot to me. I appreciate you guys again. And until next time, much love.